How's it going, everyone? Cody Bernardi here with another YouTube video. Today's video, I want to talk about my experience being a Trace Labs coach, formerly known as a Trace Labs judge. I'm a little late to the party posting this video. This CTF happened on the 20th of April, and I've just been a little busy with life. Had a few electrical issues in the house. The plumbing in my accessory dwelling unit decided to not want to work for some reason. And I've been doing all that work by myself. And I'm also going through a firefighting academy in a few months. So been really busy prepping for all that, but decided to get around to making this video. So before I get into my experience being a Trace Labs judge and all that, I want to introduce some of you to Trace Labs if you've never heard of it. If you haven't, you've been subscribed to me for a while, you are definitely living under a rock. But for those of you that are new here, hi. Trace Labs is, in my words, a crowdsourced and open sourced CTF where basically people around the world all participate to try to find information about missing people, actual missing people. This event is hosted a few times a year. It's kind of sporadic. It's not really on any set schedule. But basically you get a team of 4 people, or you can participate by yourself. And when the time comes, you are shown 4 or whatever. It depends. It could be 3, 4, or 5 actual missing people around the world. And you get their poster of like the missing person poster and like a few basic information bits about them. But other than that, it's free game, and you submit intel to the Trace Labs platform. There's a platform that you submit all this in through. So now you might be curious, like, what's the point of all of this and all that? Well, it's obviously to find missing people, but they gamify it in a way where you could like stay on track as far as finding information. And I kind of like this, it gamifies something. You could say it's kind of weird gamifying finding like this kind of missing person information, but I think it's great because it keeps people on track. It tells them like, hey, here is information and intelligence that police could use to help find this missing person. So this is what all the points are. So we'll go through it all right now, and then I'll give a shout out to this team that I worked with this previous CTF, and then what I personally do when I do Trace Labs and all that. And I'll get into my experience being a judge. So the low level thing you could submit is friends. You get 10 points. The whole gist is you get either the most points possible, which I don't like doing. I'm not a fan of hoarding points. I'll get into that in a bit. But friends, 10 points. So you find the missing person's Facebook, you start submitting their friends. Kind of iffy about that, but relevance will be determined at the discretion of the volunteer judge, or in this case, coach. So if you're submitting just random people, I would probably deny it. If you can attribute a friendship with the missing person, or as I will call it in the future, MP, I will take that. Now, employment, pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, if you're going to submit employment from like 30 years ago and there's no relevance to the missing person, I'd probably deny that as well. But if they are missing because of a relationship with XYZ, then that could get approved. So again, all of this says relevance will be determined by the discretion of the volunteer judge or coach. And it says like name of the previous or current employer and all that. Family, self-explanatory. I don't care. Like, I wouldn't approve if you submit their 4th cousin. If you submit their mom or their brother or sister or anything of that nature, you get the point. Basic subject info, aliases, handles, all that. This stuff is kind of the beginning of what your rabbit hole will go down. And as a coach, as a judge, this is really important. They kind of drilled this into us. Like, this is the beginning point where these teams will start going down that rabbit hole. So an alias or handle, if you approve of something without 100% validating that is the missing person's alias, if you're not 100% sure, I would ask for more information to prove that. Because if you accept something and it turns out to not be anything of use, you now sent that team down a rabbit hole that's going to lead them to nothing. So this point is really important. And, this time when I was a coach, I denied things because it's like it's a blank Facebook. There's no picture. There's nothing. The URL has the person's name, but it's like, I can't say that this is the missing person. If there's a photo of them, obviously it's a little different. And as a coach, if we're not sure about something, but we believe it could be, like in this case, I had a team submit a Facebook account of the missing person, and the photo on the Facebook versus the photo that was given to us, the haircut was different. It didn't look right to me, but I didn't immediately say no. And for the judges, we have our own internal Discord server, and we can say, hey, senior judge, or hey, senior coach, can I get some verification on this? Like, does this look right? And all that. And they could say, yep. And then you can approve of it. That's how that works. And I really like that because, like, again, this stuff is the foundation of your team's kind of intel gathering rabbit hole. Because once you get into a rabbit hole and you find one, you are going down that, and it would just suck to go down a rabbit hole that doesn't yield anything. Advanced subject info. This is typically what I'm going to be going for. The 100-point category. This is going to be tattoos, piercings, medical issues, evidence of the missing person being deceased or no longer being missing. Like, there's a whole, this covers a whole gamut of things. And this is information that you will get after you get the basic subject info approved. Day last seen. This one is information about the last day the MP went missing. Details about the subject's physical appearance on the last day they were seen. So last day seen means the last day that the law enforcement knew about them missing. So let's say they went missing today. If you find information about them that law enforcement is unaware of, that's the key thing. What they were wearing, who they could be hanging out with, and all that. Like, that will count as 300 points. So this information could come from friends and family or the MP themselves. So that means if you submit information that police already know, it's not going to count. Which makes sense. Like, this information is going to get bundled up and sent over to the law enforcement agency that's going to be handling this person's case. Advancing the timeline. This one, my team, and shout out to the Arizona Cyber War, Warfare Range? I think that's what they said. Arizona Cyber Warfare Range. That was one of the teams I worked with, and they were able to get the advancing the timeline. And this one's really interesting. I've never actually thought about this in the past. I've done advancing the timeline a few times actually, but this one was interesting to me. So they went on TikTok. So it started out with the missing person's basic subject info. Okay, so they were like, hey, we found their Facebook, and then that was approved. And I believe, they could correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding of it a few weeks ago, they were able to find from a handle of some sort, and they were able to find a TikTok account that was the missing person's, that was approved. And they were able to find that after the day they were missing, they were still using TikTok, commenting on other people's accounts. So I wasn't on their team, but they submitted us a piece of intel. Let's say they went missing December 21st. They were on TikTok 3 days ago or whatever, or 2 weeks ago. So that moves the time that person went missing to the time like right now, or 3 days ago or whatever. And on TikTok, if you I believe this is true on mobile as well, but they submitted this through the web browser, and you could see the timestamp of it, which was insane. So they got 700 points for that, which was awesome. I have an example in the past of advancing the timeline. It's kind of similar to this other team that got MVO, I believe they did. This missing person I dealt with in the past, they went missing, and I recall that they had a Twitch account, and while they were streaming, because you can see like clips and videos and all that of their old streams, their Xbox Live handle came up, like on the end screen, and I took that and then went on to live.com and was able to validate that they will, at least their account was still being used to play Xbox Live after the day they went missing. So things like that, like techniques like that, you don't really think about doing, but you know, I'll get into techniques I've used in the past to kind of get more intel outside of just using your eyes. That's kind of like a cliffhanger right there. So I'm gonna pause that video real quick because I continued on the video and forgot to bring this up again. So one example I have had in the past where I found intel without using my eyes was I had a missing person a few trace labs ago, and they ended up being a rapper. And I ended up listening to their SoundCloud. And the SoundCloud painted a whole different picture than what was portrayed by law enforcement as far as where their potential whereabouts could be. So I went ahead and spent, I'd probably say, a good hour listening to this guy rap. And it turned out that the likelihood of being in the location law enforcement thought he would have been in, there was no shot. I mean, you listen to the guy's most recent raps, he was on the other side of the country. So don't leave SoundCloud out of your OSINT techniques. On with the video. So another team that got MVO, and they were what they ended up doing, as I recall, they went through like 5 different pivots, and they found a user. So they found the missing person, social media accounts and handles and all that, and they went down this entire rabbit hole. They're like, hey, we see that they are on like this forum or whatever, like this game forum, and it shows their last activity. And during the CTF, the missing person was playing this game. Like they're like, it's very similar to what I did. But they were like, hey, they're online right now. And I can't get over like how crazy that was. I still think that counted as advancing the timeline because you can't really like associate their location or anything like that with that. But I'm sure like law enforcement, like, hey, they were on this website, playing this game. Like they have the powers to get subpoenas and all that and get that information from whatever game they were playing. Dark web, as far as I know, there has been 0 submissions of this ever getting approved. At least as far as my knowledge goes. I've been told that a few times. So dark web gets you a lot of points, but I don't think it's going to be fruitful for most situations unless you're able to like get some attribution that some missing person is like, I don't know, Dread Pirate Roberts or something like that. And then the last one, and I think I don't recall if our team, when we got MVO with this missing child, my fiance, by the way, found the missing child. I don't want to get it twisted. Had a whole video on that. She found a missing 15-year-old. Like literally, we knew where she was at because of friends. Location is like you could go there right now, and they'll probably be there. And subject has been there in the past 24 hours, or will. They'll be currently there. Broad geographical locations will not count for this category. So I'll kind of sum up what we did in the past with that. So we had this like missing 15-year-old, and to make a super long story short, we pivoted a few times on social media accounts, and my fiance was able to go on this one account that was public, and the Instagram highlight reels or whatever they're called. We're like, okay, well, we know that this is a friend. They're public, and we know they're fairly close with this person. So, we split it up amongst the whole team, and she was able to go through a bunch of these like highlight reels or whatever. And like the very last one, it was like the dots were super tiny on it, so you had to click real quick on them. The very last few, the missing child was in them. They were like in a hot tub or something like that. If my mind suits me right. Like at a national park or state park somewhere, but like they grew up a little bit because they were missing for a year at that point. And we're like, holy shit. Like, and then clicked on like the tags on the bottom. We clicked on one. We're like, oh, she's using a different name or different handle or whatever. And then we were like, all right, well, now we got these other tags that we could go down. Like, they tagged these people to be in this photo. There was no, it was a photo of them. And then the next one was like their feet or something like that in a tent. And then there was other people tagged in that. And we clicked on that and like, boom, there's a person that was tagged in that previous highlight reel that has a photo with the MP, and the MP was tagged in that. Which was insane. Like, it was so crazy to experience that in real time. And then we were at DEF CON when that happened. And I remember getting, celebrating with my fiance, getting MVO for that. So, yeah, so that's all the different points you could get. And there's 4 different awards you can get. There is gold, first place, second place, third place. And then the one that Trace Labs personally says they hold to the highest standard is MVO, which is most valuable OSINT. And basically that means like the team I've explained earlier where they found the missing person live or playing a game during the event, they obviously got MVO. They could have submitted that one thing and they technically got first place in Trace Labs' eyes. And then first, second, third place is all about the amount of points you get, which that's not how I play the game or participate. That's not how I roll. Some people like to do that. I personally don't. When we got MVO, was that missing child? Like it's unique and highly actionable intel. So in this case, like this person's like playing their game, and it's like, well, we could give that to law enforcement. They could get a subpoena and get IP logs and whatnot from whatever game they were playing. And then for us, it's like they were at this national park, state park, and here's the actual location of it. Like the background wasn't too difficult to kind of figure out. And they were here within, the past 24 hours. And I could tell you, like, I've checked this missing child, like the whole thing about them is like from law enforcement is not a thing anymore because they were obviously located. So I always go for MVO. That is how I roll. I don't care about points. I care about good intel because at the end of the day, I'm flexing a skill that if I ever become a Fed, don't hold me to that, but if I ever become a Fed, yeah, being a coach was definitely definitely something I would recommend everyone do after you do Trace Labs a few times. Definitely look into becoming a coach. Just because you could see how other people's minds work and kind of how they piece together intel. And you could pocket that. Like being a coach this time, I never thought about like going through these different forums and like checking other kind of games and such like that, or checking TikTok. I never really checked TikTok. I never thought about doing that. I mean, I have a TikTok, but I don't upload to it anymore. But like, I don't know. It's interesting. So I would encourage everyone to give Trace Labs a shot. It's a great way to really test out your OSINT technique skills and not necessarily your tooling skills. Because my hot take is I don't really use tools for OSINT. I'm all about the solid intel and painting a picture manually. The tools I use, Vortimo. I've demoed Vortimo before. Maltego, and I manually do transforms on Maltego just so I can help paint the picture when I submit the information to the judges. It's like, hey, this is the Facebook, this is how I pivoted, and you could show those pivots, and then Vortimo works in the background to track everything. And if you click on something and you might have missed a piece of intel, you can like type in like a username or whatever in Vortimo, and you can see all the different web pages that you clicked on that had that text in it. So Vortimo, my stuff expired. I'll give you all another video if you want to give me another subscription. So anyways, that is it for this video. If y'all enjoy content like this, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button with the bell notification enabled so you can get notified anytime I post a new video. I was burping right there. Sorry about that. You like my Aaliyah shirt? I sure as hell do.
Please clap.
Thank you. That is it for this video. Y'all take care. Goodbye.